What's up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. Again, oldie but a goodie. Today we're taking a look at the Toyworld Burden. A burden. Not actually a burden. And this is their take on Longhaul. And so one of the controversial things about the Toyworld set is that it was kind of becoming a thing at the time. I say at the time, this is only 7 or 8 years ago. It was kind of becoming fashionable to have the combiner parts built in, and you know there are combiners that do that and do it well. But it is a very difficult thing to do with a Devastator, because partly because of Longhaul himself, who all he does, his only function in the alt mode, is to form the pants. Well, actually, he forms the pants and the lower, the lower abdomen. But yeah, all he does is he forms the shorts of Devastator, and as a result, gosh, you only need to look at a set like the Hasbro set to see just how ridiculous that ends up being. I believe Make Toys at the time also suffered from a similar issue. And I want to say Gravity Builder. I'm trying to remember exactly how that one combined up. I never had one. But basically, Longhaul forms the pants, and then it makes it so that his robot mode... Oh, yeah, and the TFC one was like that, too. Just chunky. Just had these, freaking thick legs. Because his legs were actually Devastator's thighs. And they try to hide that fact, but it never really worked out. Also, one of the issues about this guy is that he had really small feet. In fact, I'm combining this review, because we're going to talk about that. Does he have a thigh swivel? Please tell me he has a thigh swivel. Does he have a thigh swivel? He does. He does, but it may be slightly decrepit. But yeah, so they made it so that all of the Gestalt parts were separate pieces, just like on the original. Really quick, before we get too much further, let me talk about an add-on set that came out for Constructor not too long after he was released. It was a set of panels that you can attach onto the bottom of the feet, and they'll make it so that he can actually stand up. They turned his dinky little feet into big feet with respectable cross sections. Actual freaking heels. And then he stands up a lot better. Yeah, we'll get into that real quick. It also came with these parts, and who knows what they're for. But anyhow, so yeah, so he came with this big old pants part, and a lot of people were like, it's so dumb, when did you make it? It was you know what? The original Hasbro figure came with a pants part. Now granted, the original Devastator, the G1 Devastator, was so stunted in its proportions that they didn't really look like pants. But this is the part that the original Longhaul came with. In fact, all of these figures come with the parts that the original G1 counterparts did. And this is the one for that. My repair work holds true. Yeah, this the hips had seized up on me. Last year when I went to pull this guy out for a size comparison, he was in a 3-point stance, and I went to stand him up, and he wouldn't. His legs wouldn't move, and I couldn't make them budge. And so I ended up actually taking this whole thing apart, undoing the screws there, and then this comes apart, and then you've got this blue, this purple box that actually holds the ratchets, and I pulled that apart. Put a little bit of lubrication on that. You know how lubrication makes everything better. And yeah, it worked out great, and it's apparently still working out great. But we're here to talk about this figure. But yeah, so that was it for his accessories. I'm including the feet as accessories because they're important. He also came with a gun. Like all the other guns in this set, it is this black or dark gray plastic with red paint apps. 5mm peg with a slot in the handle. I'll fit onto a tab on his fist, and then he can shoot stuff. And yeah, their guns all look surprisingly good for accessories that nobody really cares about because he's a combiner. They actually put a fair amount of work into their guns, and I like that. But let's talk real quick about his articulation. So his head is on that universal joint or whatnot. It looks up quite a bit, looks down a little bit, looks all the way around, no problem. His shoulders have got this transformation joint here. And when you go to bring his arm out, that's the more likely one to move. But he actually has a ratcheted joint there, which will bring him out to the full tree pose. And plus that will bring him up quite a bit more. And in fact, if you put his tire out of the way, come on tire, put it out of the way, it'll go up even more. But it's fine. We like the tire where that is. He also comes with a bicep swivel, single joint elbow for 90 degrees of bend. He's got a wrist swivel, and like all these, I keep on saying like all these other figures, but actually each of these 6 figures for the constructor has the exact same mold for the hands. I don't know that they came off the same sprue, but they're all the exact same mold. And so, and it's really interesting the way they set this up. Of course, the fingers aren't all identical. They're meant to go in a certain way. You've got the thumb, which is really easy to tell apart from the other ones. But then you'll see here, there's like 4 little dots on that finger, and 3 on this one, 2 on that one, and 1 on that one. And that's how they get the fingers in the correct order when they're assembling it in the factory. But yeah. Anyhow, he's got a waist joint, little skirt armors here. Get up and out of the way. Leg goes that far forward. I feel like his crotch could use a little bit of lubrication too. That far backwards, and then out for the full Van Damme. Like I mentioned, he's got some thigh swivel, probably more, but this guy's giving me issues, and I don't want to push it. He's got a double jointed knee bend. But because of the placement of this tire, he really only gets one of them. If you move the tire out of the way, then he'll do a really deep bend. Literally as deep as you want all the way. And then it's got ankle tilt, like a Fans Toys rotation there, and then this double jointed hinge for moving the toe around. It's an unnecessary amount of motion for that toy, but you know what? I'm all about unnecessary things. Just bring it on. All the unnecessary articulation. Let's do it. But anyhow, let's get this guy transformed up. He's actually quite fun. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop this part off of his back. And we're going to get these guys out of the way. His head is going to rotate 180 degrees. And then we're going to fold that down. And we're going to leave these just here for the moment. We're going to untab these headlights. And And what that is going to be able to, what that's going to let us do is actually, maybe I need to bring this back up. Is bring these all the way around, and then we're going to tab these headlights back in. Like so. Now these will come out and hide back behind there. Yeah. Actually, well, we've got these tucked in, and we can pull this bumper part out and then straighten it back up, and that will make it so this tab on the underside of the headlight section will slot just neatly into the slot on the bumper there. We can bring this up and over, and in fact, we can plug this in right now if we feel like it. And then we can take this and bring this all the way back. And then we're going to do some like weird voodoo with this arm joints. So fold the hands away. And I think how we want to do this is bring out the tire. And then is the tire supposed to rotate? The tire rotates around. There's this little tab in there. I can see what I want to do, but like it's not wanting to do it for me. There we go. So there's this little hinge in there, and you want to rotate it on that little hinge, which is difficult because anytime you try to rotate, it's just going to go like this. And then that will allow it to rotate. And this, see how this has like the three sides of a box? That's going to go around, that makes half of a slot in there. And this corner tab is going to fit into that slot if we let it. Boom. Perfect. And then that folds away. And then now I'm stumped. What am I? Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Ha 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 ha. Yes. There we go. And that folds in just like so. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. So open this up. Like I said, I actually haven't transformed these in years. I'm doing this from memory, from like long memory. But it's such a fun figure. I couldn't resist. There we go. Fold that in. All right, and now we're going to come out here, fold out these wheels all the way. We're we're going to disconnect these little add-ons. These were an aftermarket set, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Plug those together. Fold this all the way up until those tabs right there are going to plug into these holes right here. And then straighten out these tires to something a little more sensible. And there he is in his stock alt mode. And again, like I mentioned, these guys here, you can take these, kind of tab them together, and they will plug into just those gaps there. There's pegs on the parts, but there's no peg holes in these. They just happen to fit into a spot. And then you can take this and you can have a covered dump bed. But yeah, there he is in his alt mode, and he looks great. I dig it a lot. But anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.